arm goes forward.
Sure.
This is actually very important for keeping the hemispheres of your brain working well. If you want to take this to another level, start crawling on the ground like a baby. No one is really taught how to crawl as a baby, but when we go back to that movement, it can really help to open up our body to being able to move much better. And like I said, it's not just physical, it's neurological as well. You might be surprised at some of the benefits that that can help to bring to you if you start practicing that.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of progressing people through those basic infant motor patterns. I think that's fantastic, dude. You know, it's funny. I recently got a hiking backpack that I can put my daughter in. And so I put her in the backpack now, and I go hiking up and down the hills in the morning, which is fun because now I'm not pushing a stroller anymore. I got my little rucksack with another 20-something pounds on the back. So it's a good way to go for my morning and sometimes afternoon walks. All right, what's next? We don't have to go in any particular order of importance. Let's just give people some really high-quality stuff, the things you think that are actionable and easy for them to apply.
Okay, let's talk about sleep. Sleep is a very important one. Once again, it comes down to quantity of sleep and quality of sleep. So quantity, everyone hears the 8 hours of sleep at night. You know, some people get that, some people don't. Some people certainly need more or less amount of sleep. You know, they say growing teenagers, let them sleep more, but there's people like Edison who slept 4 hours a night, and there's definitely people alive today doing that who seem to function well on doing that. So this is, as with everything else, it's an individual thing. But in general, more quantity of sleep is good. I myself typically sleep between 8 and 9 hours a night. I remember looking at one study that was done with Olympic level athletes, and they actually had them sleeping 12 hours a day and found that they recovered much better than people sleeping a more normal sleep schedule. So the more you can get, the better. And I understand people are very busy with their lives and jobs. So even if you can't always sleep like this, I do think there is advantage in catching up on sleep on the weekends, for instance, if you have time, or if you can fit a nap in. Very great to do. I haven't been doing naps lately, but in the past, that's been something that I really like to do. So just getting that little extra time. Now, the trick with a nap is typically you want to keep your naps real short unless you're trying to get into a more restorative sleep. Like if you're trying to catch up, then napping for over an hour, 2 hours long can be real good. But generally, if you're just looking for a little energy boost during the day, you're going to want to nap for 15 to 20 minutes. If you go much longer than that, then you start getting into a deeper brainwave cycle, which is when you'll tend to wake up groggy if you don't complete that cycle, which takes those longer amounts of time.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think that sleep is so important. And now having a baby...
Let's give another tip on quality of sleep.
Okay.
Light. You don't want any light around you when you're sleeping.
Yeah.
They did some studies showing that even your skin can absorb light. It's not just what you see through your eyes. They placed some sort of lights, I believe, LEDs,
dime-sized
right behind the
fiber optic. Yeah, it was a dime-sized fiber optic.
Yeah, and they found that that impacted the quality of the sleep. So you want to get rid of everything if you can. Get the alarm clock out of the room, any sort of night lights or things you got going on. But not only that, electromagnetic fields that are generated by all sorts of electric things. So as best as you can, you want to get away from all of these things. I know some people that actually will, or I've heard of people that will power down their house. Yeah. They'll actually go to the fuse box and shut down everything. So this power field, these EMFs aren't there at all. Because the interesting thing with EMFs, and there actually has been quite a bit of research on this, but the power of those fields is, I forget exactly how to say it, but the further away you are from it, the less it's going to affect you. It becomes exponentially more powerful the closer you are to it. The thing a lot of people don't realize is even if you don't have something that's turned on, like you have an alarm clock there, that's radiating a field, but the wires in your home as well, which a lot of them are typically around waist level, which is head level where your bed is, that can often be a powerful effect. And many people will find that if they can get away from this, it's going to improve the quality of sleep, which in turn improves quality of hormones, improves health just all across the field. So there can be a lot that can occur with that. And the more you can get away from these things, I think the better you'll find the quality of your sleep improves.
I have a dream of building a house someday where there's like power switches all over the house where I could just turn off different sections of the house depending on where I wanted to go.
I would definitely say this. So many people use this as their alarm clock, iPhone or similar phone, or have it near the bed. You know, God forbid they get a text message in the middle of the night.
I got to answer my text at 1 a.m.
And the last thing they're doing before they're going to bed is checking Facebook and everything. That's probably one of the worst things you can do. The light that it is emitted from electronics is different than sunlight, and it's going to mess with your circadian rhythm. It's going to impact how well you sleep. So I would definitely try to sort of ease yourself away from electronic stuff. You know, we have lights all the time now. Didn't used to always be that way. You had to go to the pain of using a candle or something if you want to do it, which didn't emit a whole lot of light back many years ago. So if you can pull yourself away from these sort of things later in the day, help yourself wind down to sleep. If you have any problems, that's definitely going to help, but definitely keep this away from you. Even if the cell phone isn't on, it's always transmitting and receiving unless you put it in airplane mode. So I would keep this away from you when you're sleeping. Absolutely.
That's a good tip, and I wish I could say that I'm 100% on that one, but
I'm personally, I don't bring it in there. My girlfriend, I can't convince her not to, so at least it's over on her side.
That's
but
funny.
seriously, she'll like leave it in the bed sometimes, and I'm always picking it up and moving it away from me just because, you know, I use that all the time. You know, I'm not perfect or anything, but as much as you can. Once again, you try to reduce the bad things, increase the good things, and that's going to contribute towards radiant health.
All right, man. Very cool. Very cool. I'm in total agreement with all that stuff. So maybe let's keep digging through some of the more practical stuff, and we'll save maybe the last like 7-8 minutes to go into some really kind of out there stuff that people can apply. So dig in. What's next?
What's next? Let's see. Let's talk about breath. As you well know, most people don't breathe properly.
Sure.
By properly, I mean they're not really fully using the lungs. What a lot of people don't realize is the lungs it's one of the major detoxing organs in the body. With every breath you take in, you're taking in nutrition that you need, oxygen, as well as some of the other gases. And every breath out, you're releasing carbon dioxide, but you can actually also be releasing other water-soluble toxins that go out. The thing is, the lungs are quite large and they're a sponge-like material. Most people, when they're shallowly breathing, just breathing up in the chest, not really using much of the lungs, they're only using a small percentage of the lungs. And basically that means 10, 20, 30% of the air is cycling. The rest of the air stays in here. So that means that you're only getting a little bit of air in there. What happens if you actually breathe deeply? You're using much more of the lungs. It's not 100%. There's always some residual air. For instance, if you breathe out completely, there's still going to be some residual air. You wouldn't want to be able to breathe out everything because they'd actually collapse. So you can't do that. It's physiologically impossible. But you want to make sure at all times, as much as possible, and this really does become a habit if you practice things like deep breathing exercises, you're going to breathe much deeper. You're going to be cycling this air much more fully throughout the day. But one thing I like to do first thing in the morning, I do this oftentimes, not all the time, but to do an exercise called the abdominal vacuum. I know you're familiar with this one. This exercise, when you do it, you're actually forcefully blowing out as much air as you possibly can. Then you're causing a vacuum thing to occur, which acts as a sort of internal massage to the organs, and then you're breathing in fully. So you're combining a couple different things going in. Do you want to demonstrate that since we got the video here?
You know,
do you want me to?
You guys can go on Google and YouTube abdominal vacuum and check it out. You're right, it's too complicated to take a look at. Plus, some people might be listening to this rather than watching this.
I have a good article on my site. If you go to my website and search for abdominal vacuum, it should come up with a video and everything, as well as teaching some advanced muscle control variations based on top of that.
Cool, very cool. So you guys can just go search that out on legendarystrength.com, watch the video, and do that tomorrow morning when you wake up.
So yeah, that is what I'd recommend. Actually, in the morning, the air seems to be fresher. Definitely, if you can get out into nature, go outside.
Right.
You're going to get the benefits. Even if it's cold, all the better. Cold treatment is good for you. So go outside and take a few of these abdominal vacuum breaths. You're going to get fresh air in. One other benefit you can get there is if you go out barefoot. Once again, no complaining. If it's cold, all the better for you. But actual physical connection to the earth has tremendous benefits. It's actually an electrical connection, and the earth is basically in near unlimited supply of free electrons. What are free electrons? Antioxidants for your body. This has been studied to show that it reduces inflammation, it lowers cortisol, it speeds up recovery, it helps restore people to proper amounts of sleep. So if you can actually just get a physical connection to the earth, that's a phenomenal thing for your health.
Absolutely, man. Cool. I'm loving it. I love all these things.
I hope people are picking up on this, but you can combine multiple things all at once. So if you go outside in the morning, you get the fresh air, you do some breathing exercises, you're getting the internal massage of the organs, you can move around a little bit, you get connection of the earth. It doesn't take a whole lot of time to do many of these things. You just stack them together.
You can bring a big bottle of water with you, chug some of that
down. Yeah, that's another thing. There's a lot of things you should do first thing in the morning.
What's your morning routine look like? Let's do that, and then we'll dig into some of the more challenging or shocking radiant health tips.
Right. Well, besides going to the bathroom, which is usually a necessary thing in the morning, I go and get water. Hopefully I have fresh spring water. Sometimes I run out, in which case I have a pretty large filtration system. So I drink about between a pint and a quart of water. And usually it's not just water, but I'll add things to this like green powdered food. I like to add vitamin C and MSM, a couple different supplements. Sometimes I have some herbs in there as well, which is some stuff we can talk about. And I'll drink this down, just basically chug it down. Then I have some more or less water as I go throughout my day. Then I'll go outside, do a couple of these breathing exercises, like I include that abdominal vacuum. I also do a short amount.
So it sounds like one of the most important things to you is just the idea of the routine, though. Like, so it's not necessarily what you're doing. It's just that you're going out there and each day you're going to try to do something to make yourself radiantly healthy.
Well, yeah, health is sort of a habit. Sure. So it's something you need to do if you want yourself to be radiant healthy. Remember, this is health beyond danger. So there's got to be a lot of things that help support that, so that when things come like, oh, you don't eat the food that you normally eat. You're eating, let's say you go out to a restaurant or you're on vacation, so you don't have the good quality food that you normally eat. That's going to impact your body. It's going to drive down your immune system. So you need to make sure you've sort of saved up like a bank account, everything you're doing, and other things like huge thing causes a whole bunch of stress. That's going to drive things down. Sure. Make sure that bank account's strong. So it's by doing these sort of things daily, habitually. Some things are certainly things worth doing every single day, sometimes multiple times a day. Other things can be weekly habits. I mean, this is something you talked about in your habits course. Sure. By building this up, that's what's really going to get you to the point where these small things just don't affect you anymore.
Right. Okay. Well, let's dig into some more advanced habits, Logan. Let's dig into some of the stuff that people might not have heard of before that they can do every day or multiple times a week or whatever in order to improve their lives, look, feel, perform their best, and achieve that radiant health we're talking about.
Okay. Certain things are going to be great as habits. Other things, it's just kind of use them when you need them. One of the most important skill sets to learn is how to run your brain. This is going to be important for every area of your life, especially in managing stress. Now, there's a lot of ways you can go about it, doing meditation, for some people, yoga, just going out on walks with your daughter. That can be a form of meditation. Anything you can do that will lower your stress. I mean, there's so many health benefits just to that alone, but really learning how your mind works and how you can, if you get attacked by a stimulus that normally would cause stress, instead to be able to step back, look at that and say like, oh, why am I reacting this way? Is there anything else I can do? Is it even worth doing? Getting all upset over something that has occurred or may not even occur. One of the worst things for your health is actually worrying. A great classic book is How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie. And he has a simple worry formula in there. Let me see if I can pull up my book, because it's one of the tips in there on this, because it's really worth knowing. If it's not something you naturally do, like I'm a really laid back guy, but part of that is having cultivated the fact that I'm a laid back guy and putting these things into practice. so that I'm not really impacted by stressors. Just like I said earlier, with someone sneezing in your face, what if someone, hits your car? It's going to affect your immune system, going to affect your health in different but similar ways.
Not my car!
All right, I'm trying to find this. If you want to ask something before we get to it.
No, I think that you're on something good.
Here we
Run
go.
your brain. Let's go
okay.
for it.